Hello. Welcome back. Hello.
Ice cream man's here.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
How many ice cream trucks across the country do you think start that same way? Or is it just a Missouri thing? But it always is.
Hello.
It's ding, ding, ding. Hello. Hello.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
Hello. That's literally going to be... I'm not going to be able to answer any of these questions because that's going to be in my head. Hello.
Now. Oh, my God. You sound like a parrot.
Hello.
Oh, my God. Okay, we're done. Why did you literally just look like Jensen. Jensen does kind of look like you.
He's going to be a good-looking boy when he's older.
Oh, jeez. Jensen is our nephew.
He's going to be a... He's going to be a heartbreaker.
Probably. Oh my gosh. Okay. What's up?
He's got the personality too, though.
What's up?
What's up? Chicken butt.
What are we talking about today?
We're not talking about anything.
Yeah, there's like really not a topic today. We have a Q&A.
We decided to post.
Hello. Sorry.
Oh.
Stuck in my head.
We're never going to get through this today.
I know, we're not.
We posted, I think, a couple days in a row.
Mm-hmm. We actually planned this.
Both the anonymous ones and then the regular ones on Instagram. But ask us questions.
Yeah.
So we're doing a Q&A. We wanted to do this.
I have all of those that we didn't talk about.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'll have to.
We wanted to do this, but like finally, we have people listening to this podcast.
Apparently.
So people are actually sending us questions. So it's great. So we have questions to answer.
Yeah.
And we've barely looked at these questions. So this is going to be...
we wanted it to be a surprise.
This is going to be pretty much off the cuff answers. So it's raw, it's real, and that's how we like to roll around here.
Yup. Fly by the seat of our pants. I think I mentioned that last week.
You did.
All right. Are we ready?
Let's start with the easy ones because...
I mean, the first one is like a banger though, and it's not necessarily easy.
But we got to...
No, let's just get into it.
Okay.
Let's just get into it. Okay. So this one was submitted anonymous. Okay. Will AI replace wedding photographers? What's your immediate, like, yes or no? And then give us some backstory.
No.
Okay. Why?
I think AI will replace editors, which it's already started to do.
Yeah. At least for photo, especially. Yeah.
I don't think it will ever replace the photographer or even the videographer when it comes to a wedding.
Okay, now educate me on this because this question was really interesting to me. Maybe, I don't know, like maybe I'm just ignorant to this, but to me, like that is like not physically possible unless you are building like a robot from like I Am Robot.
Well, yeah, I think that's where that's getting at.
Is a robot equal to like AI? Is that what that is?
Yeah, artificial intelligence.
Oh, okay.
Artificial intelligence can be in anything.
Okay.
And really what the robot are doing is putting the computer brain
I mean, there's already like
into
robots out there that look like humans. I've seen them on TikTok, which is absolutely terrifying. Like they have facial expressions.
I know, we've all seen Terminator, we've all seen iRobot, we've all seen...
You know what? I have not seen Terminator.
Maybe you shouldn't.
Why? Would it give me nightmares?
With the current state of artificial intelligence?
Yeah. Doesn't that have Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, he's Terminator, and he came from the future, which was Skynet. I think it's Skynet.
I have no idea. Don't look at me like I know.
Because it's robots ruled, and he went back in time to kill John Connor as a kid.
Okay. Well, I don't know about all that.
I'll be back.
Okay. Is that what that's from?
Mm-hmm. Terminator.
Okay. Well, I would say no, because I feel like even with artificial intelligence, it doesn't hold the emotional side of it as far as like a wedding photographer goes that you need to be able to do this job. And what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, gosh, what is the word? I want to say intellectual, but that's not, like, understanding and reading people's emotions. What is that?
Empathy?
No. Well, yes, but like that's not like dang it. It's the act of understanding and knowing and interpreting other people's emotions.
They wouldn't be able to. Now I can't remember. I had it in my head like 35 seconds ago.
Because they're programmed to, they can't.
They wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. Okay, that's too long of a pause.
Hold on.
I don't know.
I know this word. It was in my head a second ago. Anticipate.
No.
Yeah.
No.
They wouldn't be able to anticipate those
moments. Well, they wouldn't be able to anticipate those moments, but that's not the word that I'm thinking of. But anyway.
Emotion. They don't have emotion.
Yeah, they can't. Unless you're in a movie and then that's how they take over the world, is that they get smarter than what they were programmed. And then, but that's like movies.
But like iRobot, those robots didn't have empathy, which is why they were doing what they were doing.
Right. Right.
And when you have empathy, you can interpret emotion, and an empath will actually like put themselves in the place of that, what's causing that emotion.
Right. Which if you've listened to one of our recent podcasts, we talked about the realities of our job and how we have to anticipate moments that are happening right in front of us to be captured, but then also capture those moments with anticipation of what's to come in the future. And I don't think robots will ever be able to do that.
Right. And it is also because of the nature of those types of moments is more reason why, because it's not really like, we said this in the last podcast, it's not really the purpose at the surface of what we're there to do.
Yeah. So like short answer, on the job photographer, no, but I could definitely see it being an editing thing. It already is, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done with that. I think, there's already, what is that AI editor where they learn your...
Imagine AI. Sponsor us.
Yeah. Well...
They sponsor people, so maybe they'll sponsor us.
That wouldn't be a fair sponsorship because I've never used it. But I do know some people who use it and they like it.
From the reviews that I've seen, I've been trying to get you to at least try it.
Yeah.
But
it has to learn like your editing and your patterns and things like that. And sometimes I'm all over the place if I'm being honest.
Well, because you edit for the
wedding.
For the moment.
Yeah.
But that gets me to what I was going to say is, where do you think AIs get what they're learning from?
They're programmed. By humans.
By what humans know.
Right.
So really what AI is an automated version of a human brain. Mm-hmm. So stuff that already exists, things that we already think, somebody has already thought, somebody has already done, just in a computer form, so you don't have to do it.
Yeah. So,
yeah, as with all the movies, they can take that information and learn further, but
so scary to think
will
about.
they surpass human knowledge? I'm not sure, but they will do things that we can do far more efficiently.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I do not think it will ever come to a point where the wedding industry will have to worry about maybe catering.
Could you imagine like robots just like picking up plates?
And we can hit a button during speeches.
And they all just like pause where they're at.
We can hit a button during speeches so no plates are picked up.
Yeah. So they're all turned off.
Then the catering company actually listens because we have a button.
We get really lucky. Most of our caterers that we work with are fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not going to jump around? You're just going to go
No, I'm just going to go in order.
Okay.
It's just easier for me. What do you think about brides that put Instagram filters on your photos? Do you ask them to take it down?
No.
Yeah. So obviously, like, this is a really popular, problem, quote unquote. I'm sure every photographer has experienced this one time or another. I've had it happen several times. I will say, like, the further I get into my career, the less and less it happens because we're having clients that truly appreciate our work, and that's what they're hiring us for. So they're not going to want to change it, or else why would they hire us? And I guess that applies to like, you know, the entire spectrum. But there are some people who just, I think it's a millennial thing, honestly. And
No, because
you don't think so? I think it is a millennial thing.
a lot of Gen Z, Zennials.
Yeah, see, I don't think that they would.
I feel like
think
they
do
still
that.
use a lot of filters. But with that said, do they use filters on
See, I don't.
professionally?
Hold on, I don't agree with that, because like when you're seeing Gen Zs on like TikTok, and like if you go to their Instagram, influencer style like Instagram feeds are less and less edited, because they're either showing off like their outfits or their makeup or their hair, and they need it to be unedited.
Yeah, I get that.
So I think that they're going for more of that unfiltered look, as far as like the Gen Zs go. Now, as far as millennials go, which we are both millennials, I think those are the people who are still stuck in like the filters and stuff.
And I think our answer to this question is different now than it was when we first started.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we've asked couples to take to repost it
to
without
repost
the edit,
it.
but at the end of the day, them posting that photo with a filter on it is not going to make or break your
Yeah. So I know
ability
that
to book
I
again.
haven't even actually answered the question. Coming from, you know, me as a photographer, I would not ask them to take it down. It's just, it is what it is. And that might be an unpopular opinion, but it's more of a hassle than what it's worth. And I would rather maintain like a good relationship with that client.
from the experience, because that's what counts.
And not have this like awkward, like, oh, like you shouldn't have done that. Or, you know, I just let it go.
We mentioned this in a previous podcast too. Communication.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to communication. And
Yeah.
when you are talking about the delivery of the photos,
Mm-hmm.
and it literally every single client we have had this conversation with, because it's part of the delivery process. So
Yeah.
it's something that doesn't get missed ever. We talk about, you get within the download, you get a print release. That print release, and you always verbalize, that print release covers, you can send it to a printer, get it printed wherever you want. You can buy prints from the album if you want, or from the gallery, but it allows you to post on social media. It says not to use filters, and we always make sure we mention
and
that.
it's very like short, like we don't hover on that topic or anything like
But
that.
it's mentioned, and I feel like that's enough for them to just okay, that's fine.
Yep.
No filter. Great.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. On to the next. This is a good one. Have you ever had to say no to a wedding client? And I think what this is like, I think what this question is like not booking a client that's wants to book
No,
you.
because you're not a client unless you book.
Okay. Don't get all analytical here.
I think this could be answered multiple. I'd like to know where specifically this question.
So this is how it's read directly. Have you ever had to say no to a wedding client? So we can answer it two ways, because I am interpreting it one way and you are interpreting it another.
Basically what you're saying is they come to us, they want to book us, we have a meeting, and we're just like,
We don't feel like
we're
it's
not
the right
feeling
fit.
it's not the right fit. We're like, we're not going to book this wedding.
So as far as like, I'm not sure what this person meant by that. So in terms of that interpretation, yes, I have had to do that before. And it's, you know, we market ourselves, and we're, in general, the way that we live life and our business is a mirror of that. We are very transparent. We're very honest, but still kind. And we've totally had to be like, hey, like, I don't think that we're the right fit. Our biggest priority is to make sure that you are in good hands. You feel like you're comfortable with us. We give you a great experience. And whatever the case might be on why we feel like we're not a good fit, it doesn't really matter. You know, I've had to say things like, we don't feel like we're going to give you the experience that we feel like you need. So here's a recommendation of other people that I feel like could serve you well. That's what I do. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm getting distracted by people outside.
People walk by and like
Yeah.
they're like, oh, they're podcasting.
And then your interpretation of it,
I see the question.
you might be right about
It
this.
says a wedding client, so that
Yeah.
tells me that because a client is only a potential client until they book, and then they're an actual client.
Yeah.
there's still an inquiry at that point before that. I think this is more referring to, has a
They asked
couple
something.
ever requested something that we ultimately said no?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, there has been things that we've been like, oh, like we talk amongst ourselves, like we know that we don't want to do that.
I think we to each other have said no, but we never say no to a client. We usually
Educate them
on why
it's not
it's
necessarily
not
a good idea. Yeah.
But ultimately, it's up to them.
One thing comes to mind, and I had this. We had a planner on this wedding, and they wanted to do the DJ thing where they go to each table, take a photo, and not
Thankfully,
something that I want to do. Not something I want to do. It was in an email thread, and the client said that they wanted to do this.
They asked about it. They didn't really say, "Hey, we're definitely doing this."
They were like, "We are thinking like we want to do this. I think that we want to do this," and they asked us our feedback, and I already knew that all of us vendors were like, "No." Like, no, but we're not going to be like, no, we're not going to do that because that's not a good experience. That's not good communication. Well. Yeah. So we took it as an opportunity to educate them on why it's maybe not a good idea. And then, at the end of the day, it's their wedding day. And so if they decide that, hey, I hear what you're saying, but I don't really care, I want to do it anyway. I mean, we've told you what the not consequences, but like what the repercussions could be, whether that's timeline falling behind or, whatever the case might be.
Or you're making your vendor not be able to eat their food because of this.
I mean, whatever the case might be. Yeah. So it's ultimately up to them, and we're there to serve them. So it's.
Thankfully, the DJ in that circumstance had experienced this several times and was able to interject actual experience to it. And ultimately didn't do it because it wasn't really good for the timeline.
Right. So my biggest piece of advice, if you're having a client that is asking about something and you're not feeling comfortable and like your initial reaction within yourself is like, no, just take that as an opportunity to educate them and have very clear, honest, but kind communication with your client on why you're either not comfortable with it or why you just think it's not a good idea. Because at the end of the day, they hired you as a professional and they should trust you because they hired you and they hopefully value your opinion. So there's that.
But yeah.
Okay.
We don't ever directly say no.
No. Okay. This is interesting.
You're reading all of them. I'm going to read some of them.
Okay. Go ahead.
Ooh, I have a lot of thoughts on this one.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Should you pay to be a preferred vendor?
What are your thoughts?
No.
Okay. Why?
Because then it becomes a pay-to-play thing and not a genuine relationship, you're good at your job thing.
Agreed.
If a venue has a preferred vendor list that is, pay-to-play, where you pay them money or a percentage of each booking to be able to be on their list of vendors, then they're more concerned about the dollars than they are about giving
a good experience.
Not getting themselves, but it also has to do with them. But then putting people on their list that will provide good work and a good experience, like you said, to the client.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that you should. I don't think that it's necessarily fair because I feel like it's our responsibility as a wedding industry to educate clients on what should be expected from certain vendors and what's acceptable and what's not. And if you, for example, have a vendor that's paying to be a preferred vendor, but they've only been in the industry for let's just say 6 months, and they are paying to be one of the top preferred vendors at one of the top luxury venues in St. Louis or whatever the case might be, that's not fair to veteran vendors who know what they're doing and they are maybe already preferred vendors, whether they have to pay or not. It's kind of twofold. It's not fair to that new person and it's not fair to the seasoned vet either.
I wouldn't even say fair is the right word. It's not right because the types of clients that are paying and booking a venue to that scale are expecting a certain level of quality
Right.
and experience across the board. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like generally, even if it's a high paying luxury client that doesn't have a planner, which is rare, they would still see the pricing and say
They would be suspicious.
they'd be suspicious, and rightfully so, because that person
Suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
that person is basically newer, and that's why their price is that. But I wouldn't say it's unfair. I think it's not ethically right, because what you're doing is making money to eventually potentially cause your client to be unhappy with the vendor that they booked based on your recommendation.
Yep.
I don't think it's a smart business move either.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. You want to read the next one?
Yeah. Ooh, we've talked about this before. How long did it take you to go full-time? I am desperate to quit my full-time job, but I only have one wedding booked for 2024 so far.
Okay. I want to start this out by saying, and we just talked about this with Matt Johnson, but 2024 is like a different animal right now than what any of us wedding vendors have necessarily seen before. Everyone is booking slower at a slower rate, and it's taking couples a significantly longer period of time to make a decision. I don't know if that's COVID related or not, but it's where we're at. Right. And so the fact that you have one wedding booked so far, I wouldn't freak out just yet.
I assume this is from a photographer. I could be a videographer. If it's a videographer, there's still time, because video usually books later than photography. For photography, I mean, it is worth questioning why you've only got one. I think there's more. I think there's more to dig into with this one.
Yeah.
Because it is July. We're already in the middle of July somehow.
Just a little educational tidbit here. When you feel like you are not booking at the rate that you typically have in the past, that is the time where you have to take a really big step back, look at your website, look at your copy on your website, your branding, your Instagram strategy, your TikTok strategy, everything that it's encompassing, how you market yourself online, and set pride aside and be like, what's not working? What can I change? And just start making those changes. It might be as simple as the photo on your website header. It could be something like your pricing. You don't know. It could be the way that you hold your meetings with your clients. Just kind of switch up your strategy and see if anything bites and if anything changes.
And see if there's, like you said, see if there's anything that is causing that.
Yeah.
In your entire process, and maybe have a friend go through your process.
Make sure all the buttons are working.
As a potential client, to go through this process, and even sit down and do a call with you.
Yeah.
And then let them take notes and be like, hey, where can I make some improvements, and just get some input.
Yeah.
But
the question is, how long did it take us to go full time?
Okay, so we were full time before we quit our full time jobs.
Yeah.
Which is why we quit our full time jobs, because we're very strategic. I handle all the money side. So before we went full time, we made a goal of by the middle of this year. And when that year started, we said, we're only going to live off income from the photography side.
Did you have it as a financial goal for me to quit full time? Because you kind of like handled that side of it.
I wanted to be able to make what we made
with my Boeing
with
money.
your Boeing money, which we did. So I wanted to make sure that we could feasibly live off of that money for 6 months.
Yeah.
Before we pulled the trigger.
Yeah. So while I was at my 9 to 5, I had a schedule that was equivalent to a full-time photographer schedule. And
what do you mean?
Like, I was basically full-time without being full-time.
You had 2 full-time jobs.
Yes.
Basically.
I just said that.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of breaking it down. So for that period of time, Alex, because he just said he handles our finances, he took my actual 9 to 5 income and put it aside. We didn't pay bills, or we acted like it didn't exist. And then we lived off of my photography income to kind of trial it and see if it was going to work. And we did that for
6 months.
6 months. And then we kind of made a game plan about an exit strategy on my 9 to 5.
We had the game plan set aside before the 6 months, though. we said, if we can do this, then put your 2 weeks in June.
Yeah.
And we did that. But how long did it take us to get there? You started shooting weddings in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the first full year of 2018, we could have, like by January of 2018, we could have been fully self-sufficient with the wedding income.
And again, like that was a long time ago. Like it's different. It's different now. Where there's so much social media. There's
I would argue
so
that
much
it's easier now.
I would too. You know, if you put in the work behind marketing yourself the right way and having the right strategy with social media, it should be easier. It just takes time and it takes a lot of effort on your part, you know. But shit, if I can do it, you can do it. So
right.
Seriously.
And at the time, honestly, we were full time enough that technically neither one of us had to work. Mm-hmm. So when I lost my job that same year that you went full time, we were like, well, let's just start booking video then for next year.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I was freaking out, but
it worked out.
I freak out even still. So
I mean, that's it. So the basic grassroots of the answer, 2 years. We were in this business for 2 years before we were able to actually do it, but we didn't do it for another year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Or 6 months.
Okay. This is an interesting
It's all about
one.
having a game plan.
Yep. All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
What happens to the business when you decide to have a child?
Uh-oh.
I feel like, I don't know if this is necessary. I feel like the way that I'm interpreting this question is like an umbrella question, not necessarily directed towards us.
I think it is directed toward us.
Well, okay. I mean, if you know us, maybe you don't know us, maybe you're just tuning in for the first time. We do not have kids.
We have 2 dogs,
We have 2 dogs, which are our children.
I don't want to say it's the same, but the way we treat our dogs,
it might as well be.
there's a lot of stress that goes into, like, when we have a wedding that day, who's going to go in and check on the dogs. Obviously, if we had a child, we'd have to get a babysitter because you can't just leave the child in the house and then have somebody come in and check on them.
Yeah.
But
I feel like this is a loaded question. You know, I look at some business owners who have kids who are extremely successful. Like, it doesn't matter that they have kids. They are like absolutely killing it. But to be honest, most of those people who I'm thinking about, like right off the top of my head, have the funds and the means to be able to have like a full-time nanny or a part-time nanny. So that inevitably just makes it easier for them to continue to run their business or businesses. I think in general, it takes a certain type of person to be able to have the career that we do. There's a lot of uncertainty with our industry. There's a lot of uncertainty with our jobs in general. And when you throw a kid in there, like, it's the reason why we don't have kids right now, you know? Like,
right.
It's a scary thought. So,
I mean, I have no doubt that we could do it.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of just uncertainty and just question mark.
And, you know, I feel like partially why we could do it is because we have the support. But not everybody has that support, you know?
So what happens if we were to have a kid? We would obviously take some time off from weddings when that kid came around so we could have that time with the child. And honestly, I think after that, not much
would change.
It would really.
It would be a lot of,
We'd be.
we would have to manage our time very wisely.
Our time management would be a lot more strict.
Which I feel like it already is.
But I don't see it being too difficult on us because we have that support system. We have people that we can rely on that are willing to and want to take the kid for a day.
Yeah.
While we have a wedding.
Yeah.
And then even let them sleep over that night so we can get home from the wedding and pick them up the next morning.
I don't think if whoever submitted this, I don't think that just because you have a kid and you run a business that either of them are going to fail. I don't think that that's the case, like, at all. I think that you can 100,000% do both. You just have to be willing to figure it out and do it.
It actually reminds me of when we had Kate and Adam on. I think Adam said this. You have to, if you're going to run a business, especially with your spouse, it becomes a family business. And in that, when a kid comes along, you should involve the kid in that business.
100%.
Obviously not when they're a baby, but like slowly just like let them experience the world that you are in.
And creating,
So that like they understand and they're also involved and you're not losing that much time with them.
Yeah.
All things considered.
Yeah.
It's not like the old stories of a dad that spends his life going to work and barely sees his kid, and then they have the rocky relationship when the kid grows up. It's not like that. It doesn't have to be like that with this type of industry or when you're a business owner in general. Involve the kid. It's a family business. Involve your family.
Yeah. You just kind of have to, it's a very personal decision. And that's all I'm going to really say about
Here's
that.
the deal. We are probably the least qualified to answer this question.
We really
because
are.
we don't have kids.
Yeah.
This is just us speculating and what we've talked to people about that have kids and
the conversations we've had amongst the two of us.
Yeah, that's just how we feel if a kid were to come into the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. On to the next. You can read that one.
Spill the tea on your first kiss.
Is it our first kiss with each other or our first kisses in general?
Why would they ask the in general part?
I don't know.
I think it's
See, this is why I
to
don't like
each
the
other.
anonymous ones, is because I'm like, I don't know where you're coming from.
I think it's spill the tea on our first kiss, like ours.
I've never kissed you a day in my life, so I don't know.
Bullshit. Do you want me to tell the story? You're going to tell the story.
You can tell it.
I mean, it was kind of me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So she worked at a restaurant when we were first, like, I don't even think we were actually dating yet. Officially.
We were like talking,
Yeah, that was a thing, talking. Is it still a
quote?
thing? Is talking
I
still a
don't
thing?
know. I don't know because
Like you say, hey, are you guys together? No, we're just talking.
that was a thing.
Is that still a thing?
I don't know.
God, I would be so lost if I had to date right now.
We don't have to. Thank God. Okay.
So she worked at this restaurant. So usually it was evenings. So we weren't able to like talk a lot when she worked or even see each other. So I would go up there and have dinner sometimes, bring a friend or whatever, and just see her while she's at work. Just so happened this one night I get there and I had dinner and she was getting off like while I was finishing up my meal. So she stuck around a little bit and we walked outside. I walked her to her car. We talked a little bit. And before we left, I gave her a hug and then I kissed her because just went for it. Shoot my shot.
Were you nervous?
If a guy says that they were not nervous
Yeah.
before they kissed whoever it was that they were dating at the time for the first time, they are absolutely 100% full of shit.
You heard it here.
Don't at me.
Don't at me.
I mean, at me, actually. I would challenge that for sure. I don't.
So you were nervous?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did sparks fly for you?
I mean, I married you.
Well, that doesn't mean that it could have been a bad first kiss.
If it was a bad first kiss, it would have subsequently affected the rest of.
Maybe it was an off day.
No, just shut up. Was it an off day for me?
No, you were great.
Okay.
You were great. Okay.
I saw our entire life flash before our eyes.
You're so gross and cheesy. That's not true. Okay. Would you ever consider having a bloopers reel as an add-on for a service for videography? Let me read that again because I don't think I read it right. Would you ever consider having a bloopers reel as an add-on service for videography?
So is this like similar to we deliver speeches as an add-on and first dances as an add-on?
This is what I'm thinking. And First One Films just did this, and I think that she did it so tastefully, and it was also hilarious. She opened up, I don't think she opened up the film, but she like took this part and posted it on Reels, and It's the couple standing up at the front getting married, and the officiant asks for the rings, and they're both like, I think we left them back in the room. It was at, have you seen that video?
I don't think so.
She did a really good job with it. It was funny. So he's like, I think we left the rings back in the room. And so you see one of the groomsmen, like she pans to one of the groomsmen and he like runs out of the line and goes back and gets the rings and brings them up. And he goes, yeah, we might need those. Like, that's hilarious to me. And that's kind of like what I'm envisioning. Like we're having the bride and groom like walk and do this like really cute walk, and then one of them trips or something.
So I wouldn't add that as a service, because some couples just aren't like that.
Yeah. I think it depends on the personality.
But with that said, most of the time, if it's a good blooper, we post it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done it several times. Like, actually, the person who asked this question, her wedding,
yeah,
we did that because her maid of honor, and you might have seen this if you follow us, was giving her speech.
Oh yeah.
And people wouldn't shut their mouths.
Yeah.
And she literally stops her speech.
Oh my gosh, are you guys not listening to my speech?
And that is just hilarious.
Yeah, I guess that would technically be a blooper.
Oh, for sure.
We have one of those at Emily and Justin's wedding, that bridesmaid. I was taking individual photos of the bridesmaids, and she like put her bouquet up and it went into the fan and like literally almost chopped all the flowers off the bouquet. Do you remember?
The bride's bouquet.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I don't know if we have footage of that though.
I don't think that we do, but those are the things that I think would be like really funny. But we do post those anyway.
If we capture it, we post it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would ever add it as like a service.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me, hey, can we get
that? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. How do you handle a couple where one is much more comfortable in front of the camera?
Get them drunk. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, Alex. No. So this is like, again, this is you kind of just have to understand and get to know people. This is why I am a huge advocate for engagement sessions. It is imperative that I know what the chemistry you have is with your partner. It's important to engage how comfortable you are in front of the camera. And listen, most people are not comfortable in front of the camera. I'm not comfortable in front of the camera. It's my job to make you feel comfortable. And I would say 99% of the time I can do that. And I've had a couple times where, one of them is just, no matter what I do, no matter what my technique is, they just aren't going to love it. And that is okay, as long as they're willing to do it. So I think it just comes with practice, which would be your engagement session.
Let's be real, though. There's a lot of people, and I would say most are not comfortable in front of a camera. I am not comfortable in front of a camera.
I literally just said all of this. Did you zone out?
Kind of. I was thinking through my answer to the question.
Literally, I just said all of that.
But like, I think my experience, our experience in general, it's usually, if it's a bride and groom, it's usually the groom.
Yeah.
That just, and it's not that they're not comfortable.
They just don't know what to expect.
Just aren't keen on the
idea.
And I wouldn't say it's that they're not comfortable. I think it's more that they just don't really see
they're not excited about it. Like, cause, brides are excited to like post on Instagram and like, whatever. I think that sometimes they're just not super stoked about it, which is totally fine and understandable. And I've had brides also not be stoked and like nervous. But again, it's just about practice. And, I would say most of the time when I do have a groom that's like going into it with like, I'm not going to enjoy this experience, they walk away saying, okay, that wasn't actually that bad.
Yeah, and they usually break out of the shell. And it helps that I'm with you sometimes.
Yeah.
But even when I'm not with you, you usually do a good job. It's about making them feel comfortable, finding common ground, and just reading them and not making them do something that they wouldn't do naturally.
Yeah. Like, I feel like the biggest, and this is harder said than done, I realize that, but one of the biggest things that can hinder someone from appearing to be comfortable in front of the camera is they get into their head too much. When I direct my couple to do something, I remind them, hey, like, don't even like look at me. Like, I'm not here. Like, just do the pose and just submerge yourself into this experience with your partner and just ignore me. And that's the best advice that I can give, because it allows them, it takes the pressure off of the camera being right in front of them.
And don't call it a pose either.
Yeah.
Because pose, I think, inherently makes it seem like you need to be a certain way.
It's just us hanging out with me telling you to maybe walk and hold hands.
Specifically us, we're trying to capture you guys naturally. So we're not really posing, we're prompting and giving you a prompt for kind of what we're looking for, but the way you interpret it is just how you would naturally interpret that.
Yeah.
Like grab each other's hands. We don't say, okay, interlock your fingers. And if you don't hold hands like that, then you're not going to do that. If we say hold hands.
Yeah, for sure. How do you deal with fear and doubt? I have a lot to say about this, but I feel like I've talked a lot on this one today. So
I've talked some. This one's tough.
Yeah.
I think if you don't have fear or doubt, you're not pushing yourself enough.
It's completely natural to be fearful, especially in this industry and in this job. I have fear and doubt frequently. I feel like other photographers and videographers perhaps go through this, but I am always like, why are we not booking? Why haven't we gotten like an amazing wedding yet? Like, I get, and Alex gets on me every single time. He's like, you do this every year. Like, I'm like, we're not fully booked yet. We're not fully booked yet. This person's fully booked. And it's toxic. But it happens. And I've already mentioned this in this podcast. Our jobs are not something that just anybody can do. Like, you have to know and be okay with the fact that there is no certainty, and you have to be able to pivot because of it.
Yeah. Honestly, I doubt myself almost daily.
Yeah.
And my abilities and what I can do and what I can't do. And honestly, it makes it difficult for me to edit sometimes films, because I'll be looking at something trying to be the best that I can possibly edit. And I'm like, I'm not good as good at this person, as good as this person, as good as this person. And I just want to be creative, and I doubt myself constantly, but I think that is par for the course for a creative in general. Because we're always trying to just push our products and our abilities further. And that means always trying to do better than you did the last time, which you're not going to do that. Not every piece of work is going to be the best thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
At that point.
Right. But it is important to push yourself. It is important to break the mold and step out of your comfort zone. And I feel like, at least for us and our experience, it's important to, once in a while, when you start to feel comfortable, that's when you need to make yourself uncomfortable, because that's ultimately where you find growth.
And I think this is basically the definition of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because you're fearful and doubtful that you are actually good enough to be doing what you're doing. But newsflash, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing if you weren't good enough to be doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
So we have an episode on imposter syndrome. I think it's episode 2. It looks far different, but the message is great.
Okay, you ready for the next one? Let's do one more.
We'll do one more because we have a lot left, so this will be a 2-parter.
Yeah.
Love me a 2-parter.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the last one, and then you'll have to catch it on next week's, okay? All right. What advice would you give your younger self starting a business? This is good.
Just do it.
Nike. Okay, but for real.
I've said this several times. If I knew back when I was in high school or just out of high school what I was going to be doing now, I would be 15 years ahead of where I am now.
Well, I think this one is like, when we first started our business, what is some insight that we should have given that we could give ourselves?
You can't do everything yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I think, especially in this industry, and with a lot of new business owners, because there isn't much of a budget. There's not money coming in. You're wearing every single hat.
Yeah.
You're selling, you're posting, you're doing all your marketing, you are doing your organization with your finances. You're literally wearing every single hat that is required for the company. But you have to know that that is only temporary.
Yeah.
And that the second that you are able to let things go, you have to
need
be able to
to
let
do that.
these go. For example, editing, photo editing. There's a lot of photographers out there that are just so buried that the simple editing is just causing them to get burnt out, and they're not able to keep up, and it just stresses them out.
Just outsource.
There are people that they make a living editing, and let's be real, they're probably far better editors than any of us are. And they just they'll learn your style and edit for you, and at the very least they'll save you several days of editing, and you just have to go through and fine tune stuff or edit certain things the way you want to edit them.
Yeah.
But I think that is, for photographers, I think that is one of the biggest things that's the hardest to let go of.
So mine is like totally different than yours. Mine would be, I don't really know how to phrase this, but mine would be in the realm of this might be a hot take. Don't try to be friends with everybody.
Ooh.
I think when I started, I was going to all of these networking things. I was wanting to make friends, which I'm not saying don't do that. Like, you should be doing that. But I was wanting to like just completely like deep dive into the community. And I think that a lot of people, you know, it's important to make, I'm trying to not like sound like an asshole here. It's important to make good, genuine connections. But I feel like when you're just starting out, you could potentially already just be genuine about making the connections. But there's also an eager side of you that you're like, I'll take any connection I can get.
Not everybody is your person.
But not everybody is your person. And I think that it's important to find your tribe that truly supports you, that has your back, that you know, you can rely on in times of need. And not every person in this industry is going to do that for you. Quite honestly, I think a lot of it's cutthroat. And that's even more important to find your people.
Which makes it also important to learn how to read people and read intentions.
Yeah. I think you have to come into it completely genuine, completely honest, and you know, don't give yourself away so easily. Like, don't, you know, make friends, because that's important. Grow. And I'm not saying don't have a million friends in this industry. Do it, but like make sure that they're filling your cup just as much as you are them.
And with that, also understand that not everybody that you connect with and bring into your tribe up front is going to be there forever.
Yeah. That's good.
You will have your core group that literally is with
Been
you
there from day one.
From day one, your day one folks. But you're going to have transitional periods where certain groups change when you get different milestones.
And that's not a bad thing. Like, some people are in your life for a season. They fed you for that season, and they're on to the next thing, and you're on to the next thing. There doesn't have to be turmoil or like bad blood or anything like that. And I think that's just how relationships in general go, you know, and it's important. So I think you have to be okay with that. You know, we had a group that we were really close with, and it was really sad when we all kind of went our different ways. Nothing bad happened. It just was like, this season, we are all feeling like it's just kind of moving on. And it was really hard for me to come to terms with as an adult, because I was like, I'm an adult, and like I feel like I should have like my core people, and I didn't at that time.
Well, and it was also, I would say, the first big instance of that.
Yeah.
At this stage of our lives.
Mm-hmm. So, and there's a lot to learn from it. So that's what I would tell my younger self, starting a business, is find your people, you know, make genuine connections, because at the end of the day, the connections in the industry is how you get referrals. It's how you grow. It's how you learn, and make friends. But don't expect everyone to like you, and don't expect to like everyone else.
I will say this. I want to add on to this. It's not something I didn't already know. when we started the business, because this is something that I've always talked about. Always, if you're starting the business, find 5 people that are in the same industry or own a business relatively similar to you that are doing things far better and are far more successful and have far more experience than you do, and become friends with them, connect with them.
Yeah.
Don't make it fake. If it's not somebody you relate to, find someone else. Just connect with those people.
Yeah.
Because when you have those 5 people in your circle, you are constantly pushing yourself to be where they are.
Agreed. Okay. We'll just cut it here. That was good. We have like a crap ton of more questions that we have to go.
Yeah, so this is part 1. We will definitely be picking up part 2 next. If you have any questions or comments on what we've already talked about, or have any other follow-up questions to the questions we already answered, put them in the comments. Leave a review, because we are still wanting more reviews on our podcast. Apple's great, Spotify's great, whatever. Subscribe if you don't, and we will see you next time.
Peace.